If your breakfast is cereal, toast, and jam, fruit juice, a sweet coffee drink of some kind, or oatmeal with absolutely no protein, your blood sugar may be starting the day on a roller coaster, even if you think that you're eating healthy. And if you have diabetes, prediabetes, insulin resistance, or stubborn A1C issues, breakfast really matters. How you start out the day with your meals can determine your blood sugar results for the rest of the day. Now, today I'm going to show you the top 3 breakfasts that I suggest can help you to lower insulin resistance, improve blood sugar control, support better A1C numbers, and help you to feel more steady throughout the day. And along the way, I'm going to explain what makes that breakfast work, what mistakes to avoid, and how to personalize these breakfasts so it can work for you. Because once you understand how to do this, you can make it your own. The goal is not just to eat breakfast. The goal is to eat a breakfast that helps your body manage glucose with less stress, less wear and tear on your body. Now, as I've said, breakfast can set that blood sugar tone for the rest of the day. It can affect your morning blood sugar stability, your glucose stability throughout the day, your cravings later in the day or perhaps at night. Maybe that's what drives nighttime snacking, your energy overall, your focus, how well your mind is working, and your fasting blood sugar numbers and patterns over time. This all builds towards leading to a healthier A1C or to problems with an A1C. Now, let's keep this simple. Insulin is the hormone that helps to move glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells where it can be used for energy. When you have too much glucose in your bloodstream, too much blood sugar in your bloodstream, your body typically will store the extra glucose as fat, typically in the liver or somewhere in the abdomen. It's just too much, but it represents potential energy. Insulin resistance means your cells are not responding to insulin as well as they should. They're literally not hearing that signal and it's not the interaction it needs to be. So your body may need more insulin to do the same job. And if you have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, your pancreas still makes insulin. Therefore, you want to be smart about it. You don't want to overtax or overwork your pancreas. And when that pattern keeps happening over time, blood sugar can rise, fasting glucose can creep up, A1C can also creep up or plateau. In other words, it might stay at around 8, 7.5, 6.9, and you may notice more cravings, more fatigue, or difficulty with releasing extra weight where you don't want it. So breakfast is not just about calories. It's about setting you up to win for the whole day, for a 24-hour period. It's about the message your first meal sends to your blood sugar, to your insulin response, your energy, pushing away fatigue, and for your appetite, your ability to feel satisfied throughout the rest of the day. That's why I want to get into breakfast number 1. Now, for our first breakfast, we're going to make it a savory one, right? We're going to focus on savory protein and greens plate. Breakfast number 1 is all about making sure you get off to a rock solid start for your day. With this in mind, this breakfast I recommend most often when someone says, Dr. Beverly, I need my morning numbers to calm down. This breakfast works because it follows a very important food order that can help reduce glucose spikes. Here's the A1C lowering food order. In other words, eat your foods in this order. Your protein first. If you are vegetarian or vegan, eat the protein rich component of whatever it is you're eating first. Okay, that's the first thing. Next, you're going to eat fiber, then any healthy fats like nuts or seeds, seed butters, nut butters, things like that, olive oils, olives, that's third, and starches or sweets last if you're having them. So instead of starting your day with something that is going to absolutely be a guaranteed ticket on the blood sugar roller coaster, right? And that could be like toast or cereal or maybe a muffin or fruit juice or a sweet coffee drink. You're going to start it off with the protein rich foods. And that could be chicken sausage with spinach and avocado. It could be eggs with sauteed greens and your favorite seeds or nuts. It could be a tofu scramble with peppers and spinach and parsley. I personally happen to like that one. It could also be turkey patties with cabbage or collard greens. There's a lot of ways to do this, right? It can be salmon or tuna with some kind of leafy green vegetable if you enjoy a savory breakfast. It's a very blood sugar calming way to start the day. Then, if you are including a complex carbohydrate resistant starch kind of carb, a smart carb, such as beans, lentils, perhaps berries, or a small portion of sweet potato with the skin on, you eat that after you've gotten your protein and fiber in. You don't start out with that, okay? The order in which you eat these foods really matters. You are not just choosing breakfast foods, you're choosing the order that helps your blood sugar to behave better. Make it so that your body can support you and that you don't feel like your body is attacking you or letting it down. Now let's break down why this works. Protein helps anchor the meal. It helps with fullness, with satiety. It also helps support your muscles and having the right kinds of nutrients that help you retain and or build your muscles, which is so important. And it helps you avoid the blood sugar crash and crave pattern that can happen after a high carb breakfast. A lot of people start out the day with just more carbs than they can tolerate, and this makes for trouble throughout the entire day. All right, set yourself up to win. Now, fiber from greens and non-starchy vegetables can help slow digestion. That can help reduce how quickly blood sugar or glucose, same thing, right? They have two names, enter your bloodstream. And if you are used to eating your vegetables first and then your protein, that's fine. There is no quibble here. Either way can work for you, okay? Healthy fats, that's going to be third in the right amount. That can also help you to feel satisfied. Being able to know when you're hungry and when it's time to stop eating in terms of feeling satisfied or satiated is critical. And I'm talking about here in the case of healthy fats, foods like olive oil, olives, seeds, nuts, seed butters, nut butters, avocado, etc., in modest amounts. They're great for satiety and other wonderful nutrients, including the fat-soluble vitamins that are so essential for health. And then, if you're having any fruit or some kind of a starch, including wonderful complex carbohydrates, those will be last if you're having them. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan and you're having beans, peas, legumes, those would be first. They're going to be your protein rich element. All right. Now, this is one of the most practical ways to improve a breakfast without feeling like you have to be perfect. It's about progress, not perfection, always. This is what this healing journey is about. And remember, you do not have to make the perfect breakfast every single day. So here's what this could look like for you for your breakfast in the next morning. You could have the chicken sausage along with avocado and spinach. Now, if you don't particularly like that, swap it out for something else. Make this work for you. And if you're having a small portion of berries or sweet potatoes, you're going to have it last. That's a very different blood sugar message than starting with cereal, toast, muffin, or juice, and heaven forbid all of them together. Now, that also doesn't mean everyone has to eat a huge breakfast. Some people have a very small portion for breakfast. That's fine. If that's working for you, great, keep it up. If it's not working for you, I invite you to consider making some changes to find what does work for you. So overall, what this means is this. If you are someone who eats breakfast, build it in a way that supports insulin sensitivity and that is not promoting insulin resistance or creating or furthering, worsening insulin resistance. And for many people with insulin resistance, a savory breakfast with the proteins and the greens as the way to start is a strong choice. Now, breakfast number two is the blood sugar stable smoothie. Some people really like smoothies. Now, I want to be really clear. I'm not talking about a fruit juice smoothie, okay? That's going to be a no. A smoothie, though, constructed well, can help your blood sugar, and it can be a quick way to get a meal. Or it can be a glass full of sugar with a health halo, one it doesn't deserve, right? Because it could be a blood sugar bomb. You don't want that. So a lot of smoothies are really just fruit juice in various names. And if you look at the ingredients, even if you make them yourself, please be thoughtful about what you're putting in there. Whether it's yogurt with added sugar, sweetened plant milk, any kind of plant-based milk that has added sugar. It could be dairy sorts of milk. It can have lots of banana and mango and pineapple, and maybe a sprinkle of a little something healthy on top. That's not what we're going for here, okay? It might look healthy, it might be promoted to you that way, but for many people with insulin resistance, diabetes, pre-diabetes, this is not a good idea. And it can spike that blood sugar really fast, put you on the blood sugar roller coaster. I don't want that for you. Instead, you want to build your smoothie correctly. So the formula would be your protein, greens, berries, fiber, and liquid with no sugar added. So that could mean that you use a protein powder. There are many wonderful choices available. You could use spinach or other kinds of greens. There's lots of greens, chard, other things can go into that blender. Kale, you've got a lot of options here. Berries, the berry family has plenty of fiber in it. It's a very helpful partner here. Chia seeds have wonderful amount of both protein and fiber to offer, along with ground flaxseed. Wow, what a power combo here. And unsweetened milks, unsweetened almond milk, unsweetened oat milk, unsweetened soy milk, etc., or just simply water. If you tolerate cow's milk and you add it here, that's fine. Read your labels so you know what is in that. Okay? It seems simple, but I tell you, you gotta read the label so you know what it is that you are working with. You can also add a small amount of some avocado if you want to make it a more creamy texture. You can also blend up either seeds or nuts, or seed butters, nut butters just as well if you want a more creamy texture. Those work just fine too. But please, please, please don't make that smoothie just fruit juice. This is a disaster for blood sugar control, okay? It's going to spike your blood sugar really quickly. particularly because in that case, it's not paired with any protein or fiber. That's a way to really, really lose the race, so to speak. All right, so the key question to keep in mind is, does your smoothie have protein and fiber? And if you buy them outside of the house, make sure you know what the ingredients are. Many commercially available smoothies absolutely don't have enough protein and fiber to be useful. Read that label. Now, keep that in mind. When you are buying things outside of the house, there may be other additives that may or may not help you. So you want to be an informed consumer. All right. If it's helping you to rethink your breakfast in a practical way, leave a comment with IR for insulin resistance below. Once you leave that comment of IR, this tells me that you want more videos like this, and it helps other people with similar health concerns to find these videos. Thank you so much. Ah, and one more important point. A smoothie should not leave you hungry 45 minutes later. If it does, that means you got on the blood sugar roller coaster. You most likely had a blood sugar spike and then a crash. That's not good. So if you find that you're drinking a smoothie that you think of as helpful or that others have told you is helpful, and then you find that you are starving, you feel shaky and anxious, foggy, or you're craving things or you're hangry, oh boy, that is useful information. Your body is talking to you loud and clear saying, I didn't feel fully nourished. You want to have meals, however you take them, that leave you feeling great afterwards and not like you're starving and you need yet more. This is where you pay attention to what your body is telling you. It's always giving you feedback. All right, breakfast number three, our smart protein here. And this is a style, and some people may say, yes, this is me, because I know from the comments I've read some of you do this. And for other people, like, oh no, this won't work. So I invite you to think about it, right? This breakfast number three is a smart protein oatmeal kind of breakfast. Now, really, full disclosure, let's be honest, oatmeal can be tricky because people often ask, is oatmeal good for diabetes or bad for diabetes? The answer is, it depends. Oatmeal is not automatically good or bad for blood sugar. The question is, how is your body responding to it? A packet of instant flavored oatmeal that has all kinds of sugar, white sugar, brown sugar, syrup, etc., added to it, dried fruit, and no protein, is very different from steel cut oats that were slow cooked with protein added, real protein added, chia seeds, flax seeds, berries, cinnamon, and a small portion of nuts or seeds. Those are two very different breakfasts. The difference between these is that the blood sugar friendly oatmeal and the blood sugar spiking oatmeal is one contained portions of protein, fiber, and had a portion size that made sense, along with the other good things that were added to it. All right, are you getting the sense of the difference here? Very different in how it can impact somebody's blood sugar. Obviously, if your blood sugar says it doesn't matter what kind of oatmeal, it's no good for me, then hey, we're not going to override that based on something I'm suggesting. On the other side of it, if oatmeal is something you missed, but you never knew, you hadn't thought, or you weren't taught to add these other elements, the protein and the fiber, I invite you to try it again and see if this can work for you. So here's how to build it better. Start with steel cut oats or old fashioned oats. Those are slower cooking oats. They take more time to cook. Then you add your protein on top. That could be protein powder stirred in after cooking. It can be eggs on the side. It could be chicken sausage on the side or unsweetened yogurt if you tolerate that well. Then you can add your fiber elements. This could be ground flax seeds, could be chia seeds, could be both. I know many people who do both ground flax seeds and chia seeds with their oatmeal stirred right in. It'll be a lovely way to do it. And then you can add some berries instead of the dried fruit. The berries will have a gentler blood sugar impact, most likely, compared to a dried fruit of some kind. You can add some cinnamon. Cinnamon is delightful. And then if you'd like to add seeds or nuts, yep, that's fine. And you use a small portion of those. 1 or 2 tablespoons ought to do it. What we are not doing is having a giant bowl of oatmeal, the quick cook kind, right? And then adding on honey, syrup, brown sugar, dried cranberries, banana, and then drinking fruit juice with that. That is not going to be a good idea. All right, I really want to be clear about this. That's not the same breakfast. And for many people with insulin resistance, that kind of breakfast can push blood sugar too high, way too high. It could take an entire day to recover from that. Now, even when oatmeal is built better, I still want you to personalize it. Some people do beautifully well with oats. Some people spike from oats, even when they are prepared well. So if it's not working for you, please don't do it. This is where having a glucose meter, a glucometer, or a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, or your own symptoms can be very helpful. If oatmeal leaves you feeling full, steady, satisfied, clear-headed, and your post-meal glucose numbers, your data, stays in a good range for you, that is useful, helpful feedback. Yay. If oatmeal leaves you feeling hungry, sleepy, hangry, foggy, or craving sugar, that is also useful feedback. That means that it's not a good match for you. The goal is not to force a food because someone online said it is healthy. The goal is to find a breakfast that works for you, for your blood sugar, and your life. Now, if you're listening and thinking, I need a simple way to put this into action, I want to invite you to join my email list and get my free insulin resistance diet starter guide. It will help you get started with healthier choices for lower insulin resistance, improved insulin sensitivity, better A1C numbers, and better fasting blood sugar numbers. You can also scan the QR code shown on screen where you can opt into my email list or take a screenshot of the QR code and click that QR code, and that will also take you to where you can opt in to the email list to learn more about our programs. All right, now let's cover what not to eat for breakfast if you have insulin resistance. This is important to know. And I want to say this really clearly. This is not about shame or blame. The problem is not one imperfect breakfast. The problem is the pattern that keeps your blood sugar and insulin high day after day. So if you're eating the cereal with milk and no protein, or toast and jam alone, bagels, muffins, bread of any kind, really, pastries, sweet coffee drinks, fruit juice, flavored instant oatmeal, granola heavy bowls, fruit only smoothies, or breakfast bars that are mostly starch and sugar, those foods are working against your goals. They may be making it harder to lower insulin resistance. They might be making it therefore harder to improve your fasting blood sugar. And therefore, that makes it harder to bring your A1C, the longer term measure of blood sugar control, down. So, take home message here is I don't want you to think, oh, I can't eat anything, because that's not the message. The message is rebuild the meal. If you usually eat that toast, add the protein and fiber first. If you usually drink a smoothie, change up what's in that smoothie as we discussed earlier. If you usually eat oatmeal, shift it so it has the protein and fiber added. If you usually skip breakfast and then overeat later, notice that pattern. Your body is always talking to you. It's giving you feedback, precious information. We are not chasing perfection. That's why I always say this healing journey is about progress, not perfection. Think of how you nourish yourself as being a way to do self-care. And remember, self-care is not selfish. Now, if you'd like the deeper system, not just breakfast ideas, but the full approach to food, meal timing, sleep, stress, movement, and strength training, I invite you to get my book. My book also has two meal plans, one for plant-based eaters and one for omnivores. It also has 20 delicious recipes. Some are incredibly simple, quick, and easy, and there's a few fancy ones in there too. The book title is The Yates Protocol, 5 Simple Steps to Fix Your Blood Sugar and Reverse Type 2 Diabetes. The subtitle is Make Peace with Food and Never Feel Deprived Again. This is where I go deeper into the step-by-step system that's completely personalizable. This is definitely not a rigid one-size-fits-all approach, but rather something where you are explained at every step what are your choices and you make it relevant to you. I'm really clear about this. Most people do not need more shame or confusion around food or diabetes. They need a clear plan they can actually follow. This is the result of 30 plus clinical years working with other people to figure out what works, where there's confusion, and what doesn't work. And that's what the Yates Protocol is designed to help you do, to make this whole process your own so that you can make friends with food, make friends with your body, and understand the role these other things like stress and sleep, etc., play in your health. All right, so now breakfast is just one part of improving insulin resistance, and I'd love for you to watch my playlist called Insulin Resistance Next. That playlist will help you to understand what it is, why it affects A1C and fasting blood sugar numbers, and what you can do step by step to improve insulin sensitivity. So after this video, go check out the Insulin Resistance playlist next. That will help you to keep building on what you learned today. In fact, there's quite a few playlists you could choose from, so whatever serves you best, please check that out next. All right? Super. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Please take great care of yourself. Self-care is not selfish.